welcome to episode 3. Woo. Here we are. How you doing?
Do we want to keep naming like the episodes 1, 2, 3? Because then I feel like, if we want to not release them in that order, it kind of looks silly.
It does. So we could just say this is another episode.
Welcome back to the Talking Bearded podcast.
Yes. Unscripted and Unshaven, as you can tell.
I'm Nick. He's Brenden. And we are in the Quest Haven Books and Comics shop.
We're here. Next time, we're going to film in front of the comic books. We didn't do that.
Well, so Brenden moved a couple things around for the first episode. Could they see the posters on the back, or was it
a little bit?
Anyway, so we had just some. I'm looking at them right now. Comic book cover posters that are on the wall. But Brenden moved, so we are in the old comic book section here.
Yeah,
and Brenden moved the comic book section over to where we recorded the first episode. But
it'd be a pretty sweet background, though.
And that's what we were thinking, was that why don't we record in front of... There are people walking by, and it's just going to make me paranoid the whole time. Anyway, Door's locked. People are looking like, what the hell are these two lunatics doing? Well, sirs and ma'ams, we're recording a podcast. Hey, like and subscribe.
Although it is I like the vibe, though. So my favorite thing about owning a comic bookstore is that I like the vibe. I walk in and I'm like, because this is like the stuff that I love. So it's very energizing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, so we were just talking here before we started that, we've talked a lot about movies and TV, but comic books are probably my favorite medium. They could be edged out by movies.
Sure.
Depending on what it is. But I love comic books.
I do as well. So there's another local comic book shop in Des Moines.
You gonna name the competition?
No, not at all. But I used to get comic books from there, and I actually used to have a locker. I don't know if you're doing lockers here yet.
Not yet.
Probably a little bit too green to do that.
Green. One of our distributors has been going out of business, or not.
That's not good.
They're not going out of business. They're going bankrupt.
Okay.
So sometimes businesses don't survive that. Because they're reshuffling everything.
Sure.
But so our shipments have been a little inconsistent.
Right.
Which I know that actually the one you're talking about, they've been dealing with too. I was actually in there the other day, and they had a couple signs up that are these ones are late or whatever. But part of it, the bigger part is I don't have the space. I don't know where I would put it.
Yeah, you don't really have the space, do you?
No,
that's kind of
pretty
weird.
tiny.
Anyway, so I used to get issues, and it was just the easiest way to do it. I could put what I knew I was going to read. I could create a budget of how much I knew I was going to spend.
Yeah.
But it's great if you go pick up your comic books.
Sure.
I think the last time I went before I stopped and I don't know if I actually even stopped it. They might have just closed it for me because I quit going in. I think I had I know I had over 30 books to pick up at once. It was it got to the point where the amount of books wouldn't fit in the locker / cubby. So they had to put it in a plastic bag down below the counter.
So I thought about doing a pull box there before I owned a store. Back earlier when I was collecting comics, but I like the ritual of the coming in on the Wednesday, going and looking down the new comics and picking up that episode of Big Bang Theory where they go into the comic book store and Stewart's like, "Hey Sheldon, the Flash blah 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 came out. Do you want me to hold a copy for you?" And Sheldon's like, "Stewart, you've just robbed me of finding the comic book." And that's where I like to find it.
I agree with that, mainly because if you get the different variant covers, I want to know which variant cover I'm getting. But also in that, the more the original cover, there was always something special you knew based on the signs or a notification that went out that said, hey, we're only getting a select few of these variants. We're putting the copies, like our locker holders that collect this are getting it first.
Sure. So here's a question about that. Do you like variant covers?
Depends. I think I would rather have the original cover. I'm not one that needs the original and then all the variant covers. If there's only a variant cover available, I won't be like, I have to find the original or I have to find the... I don't care enough, I guess.
I don't like variant covers.
Okay.
I only want the original. I'm very weird about it. And but if I get... So I remember shortly after I got into comic books, it was kind of right after the first... the X-Men versus Avengers was coming out.
Yeah.
Which is so good. Great story. And they were like halfway out, so I couldn't find original covers for like 1, 2, 3, you know, the earlier ones.
Yep.
It was like the 9th variant. It was a green logo, and it was just like a pencil drawing of the cover. And so I started getting those, but then I was like, that's the one I want. I want them all to match, basically.
Right.
That's what I'm... So if I'm going to get variant 9, I want all of them to be variant 9.
So I know we talked about Hawkeye. I think we talked about that the first episode, how I collected the Hawkeye run. And that specific Hawkeye run, it was the covers were white, but then like all of the drawings were purple. And when they sold out, because they couldn't keep them in stock, at least up in Ames, when they sold out of the purple, they then went back for reprints, but it was in red. So it was basically depending on, like, if you had issue number 1 and it was the purple drawing, you were like, that was worth some money.
Right.
The red cover, not so much. And that was one where I really didn't like, I just wanted to read the book.
Sure.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I still collected, I think, every issue starting, I think I picked up on like 5 or 6. But then when the second prints came out, I picked up the back issues that I had. So I've got, I think, I can't remember if that's the comic set I'm missing or if it's the Captain America comic that came out at the same time that I'm missing. But Big Bang Theory, I think I'm going to say something that might ruin part of our relationship.
You're going to ruin my life.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like the Big Bang Theory.
You know, I've heard that, though. Like, I'm okay with that. I've heard that. Okay, one more thing about comic books, and then I'll get to my Big Bang Theory thing. So one of the comic book companies that I've been really getting into that's an independent comic book company is Ripaverse Comics. Have you heard of them? They like Ripaverse Comics.
Ripaverse?
Yeah. It's Eric July started it. They did a not a Kickstarter. They did like they launched the first comic and did like a crowdfunding thing. There was like 3.7 million for this first comic. It was huge.
Wow.
So I heard about it on social media or whatever through it showed up on my algorithm and I ended up ordering it, but I was too late and they only had like the C cover left. I think I got in on like their second one. So I went to order the first one. It was a C cover. But ever since then, I've gotten all their A covers. So I'll get like an A cover and then I might get a variant cover, but I want to have that A cover.
Right.
But I have just the ISOM. The ISOM is what it's called. But my number 1 is a C cover, and I love it, but I'm like, I
gotta have that A cover.
I need that A cover. So I've actually had Eric July, the creator, and someone else from their company, Caro Brown, on my other podcast. So shout out to them. They're awesome. Just check them out. But so if you're listening to this, I need that A cover.
What's the name of your other podcast so people can
Writing Quest.
Writing Quest.
All about writing, interview authors, independent authors and stuff. So,
and if you listen to the podcast and you reach out to us or come to the bookstore, there are copies of their books all on a shelf.
Yeah. So, anyways, to answer the thing about Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I love the whole show.
Okay.
For the most part. Seasons 1 through 5 are hilarious.
Sure.
5 to like 8 are pretty good. And then after that, so like what makes it funny, especially in the beginning, is like it's 2 nerdy guys and the hot chick lives across the hall and they can't handle that. That's the premise of the show.
Yep.
That's what makes it funny. Well, once you get into like past season 5, they all either have girlfriends or whatever. And then when you get past season 8, they're all married with kids. So it just kind of loses some of the original, like, wire, it's just not as funny.
But you got to have that character development too.
You do. But like by that point, I was definitely just watching it for this kind of conclusion.
Yeah.
They went to 12 seasons. They should have stopped at 10. Doing 2 extras was like, they were definitely drawing it out.
Sure.
And the other thing they started doing, and Friends was like this. Some of the funniest episodes of sitcoms are the ones where it's like they run out of budget, and so they do like it's all in the apartment.
Yeah.
And in the early seasons, there's a lot of that. So it's all the characters just together in the, and those are the funniest episodes. And then when they got to later seasons, they would start having like 3 storylines going. So like you'd have these 2 characters and these 3 and these 2, and none of them really cross paths. So like the episodes got really like, they're not all together. So it's not funny. Whereas Friends actually avoided that because every episode you see them all interact.
I love Friends.
Friends is amazing.
It's a good show. Nicole actually turned me on to that show. We were already married. Actually, that's not true. I saw the last episode of Friends. I won a radio contest. I was not old enough to win said radio contest at the time.
But you won it.
But I won it. Gosh darn it. And it was to see the season finale of Friends. Billy Joe's Picture Show. Are you familiar with that? Okay. Billy Joe's Picture Show was kind of ahead of its time. It was like the sit-down meal theater before flicks was a thing. But instead of like the lounge chairs, you sat at a normal chair. You had the table around you. It was like a set of 4 people. Anyway, they had this whole thing where they had a look-alike contest. You sang the song, and then the season, I don't know. I was so out of the loop. I was just thrilled that I won a radio contest.
Sure.
So I saw the series finale. Couldn't tell you how old I was. But then jump forward to now I'm married, and I think this was before kids. I watched it again. I watched it for the first time with Nicole.
Sure.
Now, after we had our firstborn, we used to just sit downstairs and watch it all the time. Of course, this was during COVID, so we were all afraid to go out anyway.
Of course.
And so our oldest would play downstairs in the basement at the time, and we would play with him, but we would just have Friends on in the background.
Yeah.
Every time that theme song came in without, like, he would just stop whatever he was doing. He would stop and just...
Yeah.
And then when the theme song was over, it was back to whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, this kid was infatuated with the Friends theme song.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
It was really
so
good.
Catchy.
It's the clapping for me.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Did you watch the reunion special?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of parts in it that are a little awkward.
Yeah.
The lady, was it Lady Gaga singing the Smelly Cat song with
I can't remember.
that whole part? I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But man, that first part where they all like show up
At
the thing,
the
like
apartment, yeah.
that was like the definitely the part that like this doesn't feel contrived.
My wife's texting me.
Just that part where they're all walking in and like seeing the stuff, and then there's the part where Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry go sit in the chairs, and like the other rest of the group like kind of didn't know where they went.
Yeah.
And then they look over and they're like, oh my gosh, they're sitting in their chairs. Like that kind of made me teary for sure. And then I recently rewatched it. So I watched it when it first came out, and then I rewatched it after Matthew Perry died.
R.I.P.
And I got teary, man.
Yeah.
Like
It's an emotional show. Matthew Perry by far is my favorite character on that show.
done very well, and also very few
Or actor, I guess Matthew Perry wasn't a character.
very few
I'm good at this, guys. I know what I'm doing.
bad storylines. Very few bad, like a couple of
Yeah.
little duds here and there. Controversial. I don't totally hate the Joey Rachel situation. That was later.
I was not a fan of Ross. I don't like...
Ross is the worst
The
character on the
character
show.
was-
I'm sorry, David
then-
Schwimmer.
and
You're a
then-
great actor, but like his character.
And then the fact that they made the whole the whole series about the Ross and Rachel, I'm like, Why?
Yeah.
Why? I don't like Ross as a character.
Mm-hmm.
David Schwimmer, you're great. The character was not good.
Yeah.
The least likable character in the friend group
Almost every problem they have
is because of him.
is because of Ross.
Because
for sure.
of him.
Yeah.
He's the problem
He
child.
starts everything. I recently rewatched a couple episodes of Band of Brothers.
Never seen it.
Dude, I totally forgot that David Schwimmer's in that.
Is he really?
The first like 3 episodes.
He is in the Netflix.
Space Force. He's in space. No, he's not in Space. Is he in Space Force?
I don't know. I was not gonna. You got way too excited about Space Force.
I thought he was in. No, maybe that's not him.
I was more thinking the O.J. Simpson not series, but the biopic, show, whatever.
How do you say that? Biopic. That's how you say it. I think.
I don't know. I'm not making them, so I don't know.
He is in Space Force.
Okay.
It's also
I've never seen Space Force.
the guy from The Office.
Yeah, Steve Carell.
Yeah, Steve Carell. Yeah.
He heads up the Space Force.
Yeah.
Did that last more than a season?
I think it's a couple.
Is it?
Maybe 3. Yeah. I remember watching a couple episodes from it, and it was like they were trying, but it wasn't hilarious. But so how was the O.J. Simpson thing?
I haven't watched it. I just know he was in it.
Yeah. He's in something else right now. He's in Goosebumps. No,
Is he?
not Goosebumps. It's another one that's... No, maybe it is Goosebumps. I'm not remembering this very well.
He was in Madagascar as the giraffe,
Yeah.
I think.
What's your favorite animated movie?
Ooh, Shrek.
100%.
I love Shrek.
100%.
I'm a Shrek guy through and through.
So, little known secret is that if someone's like, do you have a party trick? I can do the entire Shrek in the Swamp Dance Party.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I have seen it so many times.
It's a great movie. My mother-in-law found this Shrek out costume. Full-on Shrek costume, mask of Shrek, the whole outfit of Shrek. Then she found a Princess Fiona one as well. I had to throw the Shrek mask away because it scared my boys. I would put it on and they would like scream. So Nicole said, you should throw that away. And I said, all right.
Do you know any of the story of Shrek? How it came to be?
I think so, but enlighten me.
I'm pretty sure now there might be I might not have all the nuances of this correct. Chris Farley was the
original voice of Shrek.
And when he died, they'd had like almost 80% of the movie done, like most of it. And then Mike Myers came in and they ended up like, but he was like nervous about doing it because they'd been friends. He's like, I don't want to, but ultimately he did a great job.
So they originally, yes. So it was Chris Farley and there was no Scottish accent. And then from the way I understand it, they reached out to Chris's brother, Kevin, I think, to try and voice the rest of it. But then they decided to switch or something happened and they got Mike Myers. Originally, I think Mike Myers did the voice in his normal voice. And then they switched it around to the Scottish accent once they'd recorded it all. It's kind of the same thing, actually. So my favorite Disney animated movie is Goofy movie.
Sure.
Love the Goofy movie.
Way underrated.
They just came out with a what do you call it? A behind the scenes,
like a how they made it.
Yeah. It's on Disney Plus.
It's because it's their 30th anniversary or something.
Yeah, 30th anniversary. It was really cool. But the original idea was because Goof Troop was like a 3 to 4 minute animated short that they put on Disney Channel. So the idea was we want to make a family movie, father son, and we want it to be goofy.
Yeah.
And they got the actors, everything. Bill Farmer, who is the voice of Goofy, who has been the voice of Goofy forever, did the movie. He was unsure on how to like really come across as this genuine father figure while doing the voice because Goofy has always just been an insane goofball.
Goofy.
but they did it. It worked out. They sat it in front of the head of the Disney animated studios at the time, and he didn't like the Goofy voice. He said, we need to go back. What if we got someone, and the original suggestion was Steve Martin. What if Steve Martin did Goofy?
Weird.
And the creator said, well, you can't have the Goofy movie and not have it be Goofy's voice.
Yeah.
So they presented it to Bill Farmer. Hey, Bill, we want you to re-record this, but we want you to do your normal voice. Mm-hmm. And they played it because they were afraid they were going to offend Bill. Mm-hmm. And actually, Bill was really freaked out about it. How can you have a Goofy movie and not have Goofy's voice?
Yeah.
So they recorded a couple times. They recorded a couple scenes with Bill Farmer's normal voice. Mm-hmm. And fortunately for us, they took it to the head again, and he said, nope, you're right. You got to go with the Goofy voice. So completely dodged a bullet there. Mm-hmm. But going back to Shrek, I think Mike Myers originally did it in his voice before it was recommended he have an accent.
Yeah. Because Mike Myers is just American, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he has no
Yep. He was on SNL. Did a great job on SNL. Austin Powers, loved him in Austin Powers.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
And then Shrek. And they're making a 5th Shrek. And if you've seen the new animation for Shrek, I think it looks terrible.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard that.
Yep.
I saw a picture that I was kind of like,
yep.
How about that? The first and second one I think are great. The third and fourth are kind of...
Well, yeah, as with any, movie.
What that's not happening to, though, is Toy Story. All of the Toy Stories are great.
I was so hesitant when Toy Story 4 came out because I thought Toy Story 3 closed the chapter in my childhood perfectly.
I thought Toy Story 4 was very good.
I watched it recently with my oldest son, and he loves Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It was really good.
Yeah. They've been doing a good job, and I think they're doing 5.
They are.
So
2027. Anyway.
I'm not one to care about sequels as long as they keep being good. So, like if they keep making good Toy Stories, fine.
Yeah.
But if they, like the Shrek ones, when they announced Shrek 5, I'm like, because they've done 2 now that are kind of...
Yeah, they had what?
Duds.
Shrek Forever After was the 4th one. I think they did.
Yeah,
they did.
Shrek the 3rd or something.
Shrek Christmas one. Was Shrek the 3rd the one with Justin Timberlake?
Yeah.
That one I actually enjoyed.
I haven't seen it recently enough to probably remember. I think I hated it. I just didn't like it. Shrek 1 is incredible. Shrek 2 is great as well. And then, I just kind of was like, it's okay.
I used to be able to repeat that movie by heart. And they actually made a Shrek musical that was on Broadway for a bit.
Sure.
And that, it's hard because with the intermission, I think all in all, it's a 3-hour show. So the dialogue is really quick.
Yeah.
Which you miss a lot of the jokes that you would normally get in the movie.
Yeah.
But you also have to keep the pacing to not get
watching the first movie now. Like the jokes in that should not have been in a kids movie. They're crazy. It's so funny.
Any kids show I used to watch, any kids movie that I watched, now that I'm seeing watching it as an adult, I'm like, that's inappropriate humor.
Yeah.
How did that make it in? But also I love it.
Yeah. It's so funny.
I recently bought, did you ever watch the show Street Sharks? Animated show?
Oh,
it's about these brothers that get basically bamboozled into going to this lab where then they're given this injection, which turns them into sharks that can fight crime. And anyway, Henry is in his... Henry's my oldest. He's in his shark phase. Sharks and dinosaurs.
Sure.
I've got a Street Shark t-shirt, which I'll have to wear sometime on the podcast. And they recently announced that they're re-releasing the old toys. I had all the toys when I was a kid because I love the Street Sharks.
Yeah.
Henry saw the shirt. He's like, I love that shirt. I want those toys.
Yeah.
And it's a show. So the show's on Peacock. And we started watching it, and I said, you should not. How could I watch this show at your age?
Right.
I'm not going to have you watch the show.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't a big deal, but the kids shows.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this in our first episode, but the kids shows that are out.
Craziness.
Oh my gosh.
You got to watch them. So,
and some of the content that people are putting out for kids it's like, how can you say that that is for children? And it's just bizarre.
Yeah. What even gets me though is like, so even if the thing they're watching is fine, like if they're watching on YouTube or whatever, but then like if they're on YouTube Kids, but then the ads that pop up are not appropriate for kids. I'm like, wait, so if this is YouTube Kids, why isn't all of this tailored for that?
Yeah, that's
like,
why
it's craziness.
That's why there's no more YouTube in our house.
Yeah.
Unless it's a short video.
Yeah.
And I get to choose what he watches.
Yeah.
He was getting into some stuff that was like in different language, which was fine. If it's in a different language, cool. As long as the content is appropriate.
Yeah.
But some of the content was not appropriate. And I mean, and it wasn't like it was inappropriate in a sexual or suggestive manner. It was just like some of the sound effects they were making, because like a lot of the stuff is just like the canned sound effects that you can pull off of GarageBand or whatever random stuff. And it's like some of the things they were saying, I didn't want him to hear just yet. I know he's going to hear them at some point.
Right.
I didn't want to hear it yet.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's just like, man, if you go back and watch some of the like Nickelodeon stuff,
oh yeah,
horrible jokes in some of that. Horrible. So here's a question. Is there anything, so your kids are still pretty young, so you're not quite there, but is there anything that you love that is sacred enough to you that like you want to show it to them in an appropriate time? Like for me, I like Lord of the Rings is very special to me.
Oh,
the
sure.
movies and stuff. So like she's not quite old enough to watch that, but eventually I'm going to be like, hey, I want to sit down and watch these movies with you and like experience it with you.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm kind of the, like, I want it to happen organically. Like, I don't know. I just think forcing something on a child can impact them so much. And I don't want to ruin it for them when I know eventually they're just going to find it.
Yeah.
And if they love it, great. If they don't, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, I wasn't into sports right away.
Right.
I was into Spider-Man, Star Wars, comic books,
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Loved Sonic the Hedgehog. Didn't really care about sports.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to go. We'd go to baseball games, Iowa Cubs games. I think I would make it through a few innings, and before I'm like, yeah, I'm over this.
Yeah.
We used to, when I was a kid growing up, go to Iowa State football games. I have my sports teams that I cheer for, but it's not something like that
You're not like dying for sports
Yeah,
all the time
no,
or anything. Yeah. So pretty much a lot of our stuff has been pretty organic. She loves Pokemon, which has been real fun for me.
Sure.
Because I grew up with that.
Oh, yeah.
She's a big fan of Sonic. Most of it, I'm kind of hoping, like with Lord of the Rings, I don't want to just force it on her. I'm hoping someday she'll know, like she knows that I love it. I'm hoping someday she just like says, hey Dad, I'd like to watch these movies.
Yeah.
And then I can like sit down with her and watch it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I'm all for that.
but I remember my dad took me when they came out. I was 12,
Sure.
I think. And my older brother was 14, and we went with my uncle and my cousin, and he was just like, he didn't even say anything really about it other than like, yeah, it's a book. Like I grew up reading it. Like I really want to go see this movie. You guys want to go? He didn't really make like this big thing of it.
Right.
And I just remember like, I mean,
Dang.
I sat down in theater. I'm sitting there looking at the screen, and that first scene with when Galadriel starts speaking in the dark,
Oh, yeah.
I was captured
Yeah.
immediately. Like I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Yeah.
You know? And that was it. I went and got the next two books, and I devoured them in a matter of days.
So that was the same for me with the Star Wars prequels. I think that, if I'm remembering this correctly, my parents took me out of school to go see the first prequel movie. And I distinctly remember losing a tooth during that first movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what the theater was. I could tell you there was a line. I can tell you I lost a tooth.
Yeah.
And that was sort of that way for me with when this, like, I would say the first series that I watched was those Star Wars prequels.
Yeah. So Star Wars was definitely first for me. I remember, I actually have a very specific, one of my strongest movie memories is Star Wars. But I remember we were at a friend's house. My dad picked us up, and the special editions on VHS, the 1997 ones that just come out, and he had picked up the trilogy on his way home. And so we went home, and I actually don't remember the first time I watched Star Wars. I've just always watched Star Wars. So because we had a copy of it before.
Right.
So brought those home, we watched it, and then they immediately engulfed by it. And then I remember Phantom Menace was coming out. I remember watching like people freaking out on the news. Like, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Like seeing like newscasts, and they're like showing all these people freaking out. Had all the toys. I collected all of I found every single one of them. There's 24 of the Pepsi cans, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, all that with the faces. I collected all that. My strongest movie memory from when I was a kid is going to see Attack of the Clones. And the first, when Yoda pulls out his lightsaber, imprinted. I mean, cool. I remember like I was sitting next to my brothers and just being like, no, what? Like, I mean, we were just like
that
freaking
lightsaber
out.
fight between Yoda and Dooku was so good.
So awesome.
I think my favorite lightsaber battle has to be the Darth Maul end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fight Darth Maul. That Duel of the Fates, that a nice little orchestral song that came out with that fight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. My favorite would be Revenge of the Sith, the fight at the end of that, but more for how like the emotion of it.
Sure.
But then obviously the Phantom Menace is strong second.
So here's a question. Star Wars or Lord of the Rings? If you had to choose one.
If I had to choose one,
let's cap it at this. Let's say original Star Wars trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Versus Lord of the Rings. So no Hobbit, no Silmarillion, none of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Original trilogy.
It's actually pretty easy for me. I would definitely pick Lord of the Rings. Same. Lord of the Rings is my favorite story of all time.
Yep.
It didn't used to be that way. I probably would have picked Star Wars even 5 years ago. But the Lord of the Rings is so universal to the human condition. I mean, you're learning about how to be heroic. Yeah. Like, Aragorn to me is like the epitome of what a man should be, which is like, I
agree with that.
He's tough. He can fight the battles. He cries when he needs to, when his friend dies. He is like tender and sweet with his elf maiden. Like, he's everything you need him to be. Like, he's kind of that epitome thing.
Absolutely.
But there's just so many like universal core truths in Lord of the Rings that like, it's just, and from a movie making perspective, like Star Wars broke a lot of ground. It totally changed how movies were made, but like the care that they took in Lord of the Rings, the original ones, not the Hobbits, to really like forge the armor and like, I mean, no one's going to make a movie like that again.
No, and it's really hard too for Star Wars because Lord of the Rings was already a great established book series with Tolkien really just, like you said, taking that care in his writing, in his storytelling, in the sort of expansive universe, right? I love J.R.R. Tolkien, and then knowing the relationship he had with C.S. Lewis, who's another fantastic author, and the fact that they used to get together all the time, it's just like, that's such a cool way that the universes can just morph into one.
Well, even think about this. They both were on the front lines of World War I.
They were.
The fact that they both made it out of there is incredible.
It's insane.
Like, statistically nuts.
But movie-wise, which is what I was more focused on, I guess, and it's also hard to compare too, because with the original series of Star Wars, it was so, I wonder what the original trilogy would have been like had they had the same special effects technology that we have today.
Now, what I will tell you, so I agree, but I think that the original movies still hold up.
Do they?
I
I
think they
haven't
do.
watched them in a while, so I need to go back and rewatch.
There's a couple of things I don't, but like that.
Hot Shot first, like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the original movie in '77, that is literally the basis for how we like. But until then, movies were not like fast cut.
Right.
So that movie set the tone for everything we have now.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when you watch it, it still watches like that. I mean,
Okay.
I think other than a few things, I think it's aged very well.
That's something I want to try and do is rewatch really all of the Star Wars movies. Just because I haven't seen them in so long. Specifically, like any of the... I feel like, and I'm kind of ashamed at admitting this, I don't think I've watched the original trilogy front to back in any of the movies. I think I've always thought I've seen the full movie, but I don't know if I ever have, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people it's tough. You can watch them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, but honestly, that's the best way to.
Don't forget about 7, 8, 9.
No, I do. If you want to watch, if you don't know the secret of Darth Vader, then you need to watch it in release order, which is
Right.
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. If you do, then watch it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because then the story makes a little more sense.
You know, this is going to get personal because none of the audience members, but we have a mutual friend, Darren. If you ask Darren what he thinks the order you should watch,
Oh, he talks about the machete order.
yes.
Yeah. Which I don't disagree with. Except that I like episode 1. Sorry. I know I'm controversial, but I like it.
You like what you like.
Yeah.
Who cares what other people want?
Well, it's one of those, like, I know why Jar Jar Binks is terrible, but that movie came out when I was 10, and that character was meant for me.
That
So,
character was hilarious when I was
Yeah.
10 years old.
I had no issues. I now watch it, I'm like, I get it. I
Yep.
get, but, like, I don't dislike him.
No, I
So-
don't either.
So speaking of Tolkien, we talked about this a little beforehand, but I want to get your thoughts on it. So Tolkien spent his whole life, obviously he wrote many things, but essentially he wrote everything and then he created The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So he essentially spent his whole life perfecting what became The Lord of the Rings. So he wrote 4 books, essentially, along with all the extra stuff around that. But then you have people like Brandon Sanderson, which you haven't read.
I have a book of his, though. You gave
Yep,
me...
you got a book.
I'm going to check him out.
But there's a lot of these authors that are writing a lot more quantity, decent quality. So I guess it's that quality over quantity question. I think, and I've been thinking about this because where this comes from is I've been listening to the Hobbit audiobook, which they redid the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings audiobooks with Andy Serkis, who played Gollum in the movies.
Okay.
Excellent. Like top tier. He's
Like
great.
he reads them.
He reads them. And then when he
cool.
gets to Gollum, he does the Gollum
Yeah,
voice.
he obviously has to do the Gollum voice.
But just listening to it and like rereading it, you can just tell like he took care with
Yeah.
every word on that page. I mean, every single sentence is intentional.
Sure.
And so then you have someone like Brandon Sanderson who's writing great work, but he's going to have, 100 or more books by the time he dies.
Right.
So I don't know. In your life, if you were to, what would you shoot for? Quality over quantity? Or does it matter?
I think it does. And I'm going to use Marvel as an example. Marvel took a while for its quality to get where it was within the Infinity Stone arc.
Infinity Saga.
Thank you. Infinity Saga. Once they got that nailed down, the quantity was release a movie a year, maybe a movie every year and
I think
a
they
half.
got into kind of a 2 movies a year. And
Yeah.
then by the time they got to phase 3, they started doing occasionally like a 3 movie a year, which seemed that was
right, but
good.
the quality was there.
Yeah.
Now that the Infinity Saga is over, quantity-wise, they're putting out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But quantity-wise, they're putting out a lot of stuff. Quality-wise, it's shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think that they...
Same with Star Wars, though. So with Star Wars, when Disney Plus released all their episodes, you had The Mandalorian, you have, the Boba Fett series, you have Obi-Wan, you had just Andor that just recently, you have all this other stuff that came along with it.
Yeah.
Quantity-wise, great if you're a Star Wars fan. But if you want quality work, I would say maybe 2 of those shows were good. Boba Fett is just another extension of The Mandalorian. Boba Fett season 2 was actually The Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my mind.
It was season like 2.5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think you kind of have to find that perfect balance. It's not always just because you found that quality of work doesn't mean it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
But with someone like Tolkien or someone like, oh my gosh, Harry Potter author,
J.K. Rowling.
They stick to create these universes, really stick to it, and it's good quality work.
Yeah. Now, I do have a comment about J.K. Rowling, but what I will say about Star Wars before I get there is that they kind of what made Star Wars special is that you weren't getting it all the time.
Right.
So they had the originals, and then when they announced the prequels, it was like, what? I mean, it was like amazing that we get the prequels. And then we didn't have anything for a while. And then, I mean, we talked about this first time about Force Awakens. I mean, that movie was hype when it came out. I mean, I remember being so pumped, and like the whole world was pumped. The news was all talking about it, like it was crazy, but it had been so long. When you start like, you kind of kill the enthusiasm when it's like, well, there'll be another one out in, 3 weeks. So why does it matter? And then you end up with, whatever you're like in the case of Marvel, Kevin Feige, he had his hand on everything in the first few phases. And I mean, I don't totally know, but it seems like it all kind of got away from him. Like he couldn't keep his, and if you're trying to guide something, you do need someone that's kind of the,
well, and I think he's going back to the Russo brothers. I think he's hoping that that'll save the Marvel franchise when it comes to the movies.
Which I think it's a good move. We'll see if the Robert Downey Jr. thing works out.
Oh man,
people keep asking me, and I'm like part of me is like, it's a smart move because if you want to, I mean, let's try to recapture a little bit of the magic and maybe set it straight. But like, it's a big gamble because it could work really well. But if they mess it up, they've made it even worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so it's kind of they went down, and this could spike it up, or it's going to just get even worse. I mean, they'll ruin it forever, basically.
Right. But I think going back to the book, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what kind of person you are. Right? Like, and do you want to be the author that's known for that one niche kind of thing? Like when you talk about Tolkien, the average reader is going to know, oh yeah, didn't he write Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit? But there's other books out there that he wrote that are really good,
right?
But aren't recognized because it's not The Hobbit, it's not Lord of the Rings,
right?
I think my coughing is going to ruin this episode. I'll tell you what.
I just wonder if, I guess the existential question that's just, I don't even know if there's an answer, is when I think about what I want to focus my life towards, do I want to, let's just take books as an example. Do I want to write 3 really great books or 20 pretty great books? Because you could argue that The Lord of the Rings has kind of changed the world.
Yep.
It basically defined an entire genre that didn't exist, and then it still has wide-reaching effects to this day.
You could also say Game of Thrones is that way too.
You could.
But I don't think he's ever going to finish the last book
No, I don't
before
think
he
he is
dies.
either. So I don't know. It's just an interesting existential question of like, how do you orient your life? Do you pursue something that's, I want to do this one thing
Yeah.
that's super great, or I'm going to do as much as I possibly can, you know, and have it all be like pretty good.
Right.
I don't know if there's an answer.
I don't think there is. I think it's going to depend on us as the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's whatever, because I'm the kind of person where if I read a book and I don't like it within the first 100 pages, I'll stop.
Yeah.
So I think it's really what's going to pique their interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Witcher series. I'll use that as a perfect example. I didn't like the book.
Yeah.
I didn't like the book. I liked the show and I liked the video games.
Yeah.
Could not read the book.
Yeah.
Something about it. I don't know what it was, but didn't like it. Harry Potter. I read the first 4 books of Harry Potter. And by the 5th one, I was bored, so I never finished the books.
Yeah.
Saw the movies, never finished the books.
Yeah. So my thought about J.K. Rowling is that I think she's starting to ruin her own franchise.
Yeah.
I think the first 7 books, and I love the movies, are really great. There's a lot of plot holes, and but you can pick apart anything. But I think she really captured something incredible. I've not liked anything else outside of it.
Yep.
Like the Fantastic Beasts franchise, no good.
See, I love Fantastic Beasts. I wish that series would have carried on because I really resonated with Newt. Having taken the Pottermore, which house do you belong in, a Hufflepuff in myself, I really resonated with him.
Yeah.
And everything that he stood for, and I thought the movies were great. And I'm a little sad that they aren't continuing.
I never saw the Dumbledore one. I also didn't like those because at the same time, Ezra Miller was also playing the Flash.
Yep.
And we talked about that, and I'm not a fan of him. And so I did not like his character.
I thought in the first movie his character was good.
Yeah.
I don't get it though beyond that. But again, I like the movies.
I never saw the Dumbledore one. Was
Newt.
that a good one?
It was fine. I mean, that was kind of the writing on the wall, right? Because Johnny Depp wasn't involved in that one.
I feel like Jude Law
Jude Law did a good
Dumbledore.
job,
Yeah.
but without Johnny Depp there, it just didn't. I don't know. Didn't make sense.
Who played him? Would they switch it for?
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me look this up.
What's crazy about that is because he wasn't in that one because of the whole Amber Heard thing going on,
Right.
which he ultimately ended up winning.
Yep.
So it kind of stinks
we won't
that
get into that.
they ruined him being in that movie for,
It was Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yeah. Which I generally like him. He's in the one or two Star Wars movies that's actually good. Rogue One.
Was he in Inglourious Bastards?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch. You gotta put that on your list.
He might be in that one. I really liked him in Rogue One.
Yeah,
Great.
that was a great Star Wars movie.
Great movie. I did not mind Solo. Hot take.
Never saw it.
It's not amazing. It's not like their best one.
No.
But I thought the actor did a great job. I thought the story was pretty good, and it was pretty good. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about the quality quantity thing.
Okay. What new do you have in the shop here that's really selling that you think people should check out?
Book wise, or just
In general.
in general. I pretty much cannot keep in stock anything Brandon Sanderson or Rebecca Yaros, who does the Fourth Wing stuff. It's very popular. I can't keep any of that in stock. So I'm constantly ordering that. Comic books have been not as popular as I thought they'd be, but probably the most popular stuff is that Absolute stuff from DC,
Absolute Batman, absolute Superman.
Wonder Woman, Superman. I just sold like 3 copies. Like in one day, I sold of the absolute Green Lantern. I pretty much sold out of that of what I had. So
I used to get my comic books on. I had this old Samsung A tablet because it was on sale at Sears when I was moving into college. I know, right? Crazy. And
that makes me feel old. Anyways,
it was a garbage tablet, garbage piece of technology. I'd never get that again. Team Apple for life. And I used to buy comic books there. And it was fine, but there's something about having it in your hands.
I like the paper, man.
Yeah, it's great.
I like the paper.
Still got those Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Still got the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Dude, I have been watching people. So a big part of my TikTok algorithm is like people opening cards, whether it be baseball, football. I'm really into the hobby cards. But like Pokemon cards, watching these influencers, or not really influencers, but these TikTok people that are opening Pokemon cards, trying to get these hits, and like seeing the prices on some of this stuff is insane.
It's insane. I mean, I was just opening some Magic cards actually before I came up here, and I pulled one that's worth about $45.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And like there are some Pokemon cards out there in this new set that are worth like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, the Magic stuff is wild, or the Pokemon stuff is wild because, so like I can't get it in the store.
No.
Because like there's a lot that goes into it, but like because I'm a small store, I'm not a Walmart, a Target.
Right.
And I also like all those influencers now have such a track record of buying so much that like when it comes to me, if I order it, they don't allocate any to me.
A lot of
can't
these,
get it.
I've seen these Pokemon like vending machines. There's none here. I think probably the closest is Chicago. Maybe. I think there's a bunch in Chicago actually. And they just stock them with Pokemon cards. And they have a problem with scalpers going in and buying everything. Like they've gotten the dates that they know they're going to stock these cards and just
they've started limiting it, but like you go into a Target and Walmart and people just like swipe the shelf into a cart and buy the whole thing. It's crazy.
I've seen like the Japanese cards are also pretty big.
Yep.
And I think people are pulling them more because there's less of a chance. It's either, well, it's one or two. It's either less of a chance or more of a chance that you get, you know, the super rare card.
Sure.
But I feel like the artwork in the Japanese sets is just so much better than that in the American counterpart.
Yeah. Yeah, could be. Although, man, from what I grew up with, the art they do now is incredible.
It's incredible.
So cool.
There's this app out there called Whatnot. You'll have to look it up.
I've downloaded it. I haven't messed with it yet.
Oh, dude.
Because it's like live buying, isn't it? Yeah.
And you can spend some serious cash.
So someone sent me that and said we should do that for the store. So I should do like some live streams and sell stuff that we've got here in the.
That'd be cool. That'd be killer. You could probably get that away. You could probably do that with the 4 full boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I'm staring at right now.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't get much for them, but maybe like $1 a pack or
just
something.
Moving them though.
Just move them out of here.
That's, so we live in a pretty small town. And so when we started this, it was definitely we're going to kind of do every product line a little evenly.
Yeah.
And just kind of see. Now that we're 6 months into it, we kind of know what sells a little more, what more popular. We have a little soda shop as well. Yeah. So like,
you got to make me one of those before I leave.
I will. So it's one of those, like, now that we kind of know what sells, we're kind of pivoting and leaning into things.
Yeah.
Comics have been a little less, so I've diminished how much I'm ordering of comics, but I think part of the key to comics is going to be some of that online stuff. I might try some of that. Because, like, if you're looking for... So, like, right now, I don't have an Absolute Batman #1. So, if you come in here and you get Absolute 2, 3, and you're like, oh, I got to find one, you're going to go online or you're going to maybe go to another comic book. Like, you're going to go look for it. So, I've thought, there's going to be people out there that are like, especially when you got bigger comic book stores that there's a ton of people going in them there and buying stuff.
Yep.
I've got some of the stuff that they don't have because I have less people coming in here because I'm a smaller town.
Right.
So getting online, I think, is big for that.
Do you talk to your different competition around Des Moines? Because I know you mentioned you went into a shop earlier this week.
Yeah. So
do you mention that you've got your own shop? And
I haven't.
Okay.
I may. I go in there a little bit because, like, the one specifically that I go up to, it's kind of like the one I go to.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, I do have one here, but sometimes I'm looking for something. I was looking for some magic cards.
You work in Des Moines too, so
I work in Des Moines. I'm actually pretty close to there, and I was looking for some specific magic cards that like I couldn't buy through me anymore, so I was just looking for some extra. So that, or I just like stopping in, the vibe, feeling it. But I've thought about introducing myself and maybe, because like the one thing that's nice, like with comic books, you can't. Ordering comic books is kind of a long tail to it. So you order, like I order now for like 2 or 3 months from now.
Right.
And so, but once you get past that, you can't really go back and order stuff. You can try to. You might get it. You
like
may
back
not.
Issues and stuff.
Yeah, back issues. You can wait for a reprint, but then you're getting like variant covers and stuff.
Right.
So I've thought about talking to them about like, hey, if I've got a customer who's looking for this, can we work out some kind of deal where I can come in and get it from you for a cheaper price or something, but kind of that thing.
Dude, I can remember pre-COVID, I used to go into local card shop in Urbandale, and just I would buy packs, I would buy some boxes, and it was relatively inexpensive. But since COVID, you talk about, I think Gary V made the sports cards ripping popular again.
Yeah.
And it used to be, I would walk into the shop and I would be maybe one of 3 people. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
And I went post-COVID. This has been about a year or 2 ago. I couldn't move in there. Just the amount of people that were in there buying things is just insane.
Yeah, I was just in there on Saturday. That's when I went, and it was just full of people.
It's crazy. It's crazy how popular this thing has become again.
Yeah.
I was watching, so I follow Barstool Sports quite a bit, and one of their main personalities, Big Cat, was like, maybe I should get into card ripping. And so he pulled the Michael Jordan's rookie year in the NBA. It was like in the 87, 80, it might have been in the early 90s, I don't know. But he was like, wouldn't it be so cool if I pulled the MJ rookie card? 2 packs in, and he pulled. He's like, I don't see what everyone's complaining. This is easy. I'm like, come on,
yeah, that's
dude.
crazy. Yeah.
I've pulled some pretty cool cards. I haven't, there's nothing super rare that I've ever, that I know I'm sitting on that's going to make me a lot of money if I just wait.
Yeah.
There was somebody who had this huge collection of Mickey Mantle cards, rookie cards, sold them just for an obscene amount, and I'm never gonna do that.
I've got a few older Pokemon cards that are first editions that are worth some money. Magic, I've got a few cards here and there that are, most of the Magic cards that I have that are worth something are kind of around that 45. I've got a few that are like above 60. I've got one that's maybe 90. The Pokemon cards I've got, if I get them graded, could actually be worth. I've got 2 first edition holographic Machamps.
Oh, dude, you should send those in.
So I'm gonna get them. Yeah, I've got them over here in the shop, in sleeves and cases. I just gotta send it in and get them slabbed.
You should.
So it's probably just the spender in me that likes this, but there's something about getting a box of Magic cards and just cracking packs, man.
Oh, absolutely.
It's awesome. I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
So expensive.
Yeah. before I came here, I started open. I had a box of one of the sets I really like, and that's what I went into the shop for the other day because I couldn't get any more here. And
You had to fill that itch.
yeah, that's my favorite. It's a good set, man.
Scratch it.
And then I opened like 12 packs before I came here, and just love it.
There are some days I get the itch, and then I see how much it costs, and I think, yeah, you know what? I think I'm okay.
I generally will, like, if it's a set that I kind of like, I'll order myself an extra box through the store for me to have. But Magic I didn't get into until later.
Yeah.
Like, basically till I opened the store.
Okay.
I just didn't have anyone. I played Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was younger.
Sure.
Love Pokemon. And honestly, like, I had so many cards from that very first set.
Dude.
And I think I sold them, like, the whole binder at a garage sale.
I think I gave mine away.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I was like, I don't care.
So
these aren't going to be popular.
I was telling someone this in the store the other day, and they were like, why would you do that? And I was like, because in
because I was 14, Jim, and didn't know they were going to be worth thousands of
like
dollars.
in 2005 and 6 when I was like
what do you
16 and
expect
thought
me to do, dude?
I don't want to do Pokemon anymore. I didn't think that like I could freaking retire with them.
No joke,
you know, like,
right? You know, Logan Paul running around with a first edition of a necklace. Like,
I had like I think I had 2 or 3 full sets of the original cards.
I know I had a couple of the Charizard shiny ones.
Oh yeah, I had like
about.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Like, cause I bought like, so what I would do is cause Pokemon cards came out in whatever, 97 or whatever it was. So I would do my paper route every week here in town. I'd stop up at the paper route place and get paid on Saturday. And I'd get like $10 or something, $12, whatever it was, like nothing. I'd ride my bike over to the little store we had here. I'd get 2 packs of Pokemon cards, and then I'd stop and I'd get myself like a Subway sandwich or something with that money.
Yep.
And I did that for years.
I can remember, so I did Taekwondo when I was that age. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the guy who owned the Taekwondo shop just became a licensed Pokemon card dealer or would just buy boxes and sell them to us. But after Taekwondo is when we would buy packs of Pokemon cards. And so that's really where I got most of my collection was just after Taekwondo class. It would be, okay, do you want to buy some Pokemon cards? And at that time, it was like $1 to $2 for a pack.
Yeah, it was $2 to get, what was it, like 12 cards or something?
10 or 12, something like that.
And the other thing was...
Probably less, actually. It may have been less.
Early on, there weren't pre-made decks either. So I
think there were.
There?
I think there...
Maybe I just couldn't afford them.
They were like tins.
Yeah.
So there were
maybe
starter tins.
Okay, I do remember those.
Yeah, I think I had 1 or 2 of them.
I think I remember maybe I did get one of those and like kickstarted me, but then it was always just packs.
Yeah.
But I built my own decks. Like I never really got a pre-made deck.
Yeah.
And
then like going into the card shop or into the comic book shop and you could buy just, if you wanted a specific card, you could buy that specific card.
But like, see, I was talking to this person, and they're like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, they weren't worth anything then.
Right.
Like, so when I was 16 and I thought, now I want to be done with this, it's not like they were worth a bunch of money. So I was just like, all right, see you later.
It's like people that say, well, you're a millennial. Why didn't you invest in anything? Well, I was like 3 years old when Apple stock came out. I'm sorry. Or when I should have, in 1996, I should have paid 30 grand for a house instead of, coloring in my coloring book or like learning how to talk. I don't know. It's just like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, but I had like, I know I had at least 2 full sets of everything. Yeah. And then all gone now. I have a ton now, but
I've got a book, a binder of just the cards that I've enjoyed pulling. They might not be worth anything, but the artwork on them is cool.
Yeah.
And it's really from, like I said, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and then Pokemon cards. The ones that are, I would say, worth something that are like autographed or I don't know what the EX I don't know what the names, the full art cards on Pokemon. I've got those in protective sleeves, but everything else I've just put in a book that I think is cool.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll sell them. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Henry found a couple of the cards, individual cards that fell, and he started talking to me about the Pokemon cards and their dragons. I'm like, I had no idea you knew what Pokemon was at 4 years old.
Right.
But I knew what Pokemon was at 4 years old. So, like, why? I remember when it was, like, announced it was coming to the United States, and they had this promotional VHS tape.
Yeah.
That was like, you're going to get this show. And, oh, the card game's coming out. And the video game's coming out. And here's everything you can expect. I had that, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool.
Yeah, man. I was always into it. So they recently, in the cartoon show, they wrapped up Ash Ketchum's story.
Yeah.
So he's no longer in it. That last couple episodes, I got kind of teary at.
Did you?
I totally. So my daughter and I, so on Netflix, they've got the Pokemon Journeys, Master Journeys, and Ultimate Journeys, and that was like the last one with Ash Ketchum. So now remember, when Pokemon came out, I watched the first episode live on TV. I woke up on Saturdays at 6 a.m. and I watched Pokemon.
Fox.
My whole life. I grew up, I watched Pokemon. And then my daughter got into it, and so that was great for me because I was like, sweet, I can jump in and kind of, do this with her. And that last episode, he's winning the World Cup Pokemon League thing. In the last battle, Pikachu almost faints, and then he kind of has this weird like fever dream where he kind of sees so they go through all of Ash's, I'm kind of getting chills thinking about it. They go through all of Ash's previous teams from every version of the show.
Oh, sure.
So like Pikachu's like fainted, but then like his first team from Indigo League is like there, like Bulbasaur and Squirtle and Charizard, and then they go through this whole kind of fever dream thing, and then Pikachu wakes up, and they do this thing where like he stands up and he's covered in lightning, and then they play the original theme song.
That's dope.
It just hits.
Oh, that's cool.
When it was a Saturday, me and Sophia are watching it, and Sarah was in the kitchen, and it hits, and I choke up. Like I actually like got a tear in my eye.
Yeah.
And Sarah looks at me and she goes, "Are you crying?" And I was like,
Sarah,
I'm like, 100%. Like this is the culmination of my entire life of watching Pokemon is happening right now.
It was crazy awesome. The things that are wrapping up now from when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
They did start a new show though.
Did they?
Without Ash.
Okay.
And we've watched a little bit of it. Sophia likes it. It's not bad. It's Pokemon.
I'm playing Violet on my Switch right now. I got the double compact Violet.
I like Scarlet Violet. I like Scarlet a lot.
I haven't played Scarlet yet. I'm just like, it's one of those things where I put it down, picked it up, put it down, picked it up. I've been big into Sonic, so I bought the Sonic Sonic Shadow Generations and then Sonic Frontier. Sure. Those two games are great. I will still say Sonic Adventure 2 is probably my favorite video game of all time. If you've never played it yet, play it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, it's insane how much I still enjoy things now from when I was a kid.
Made a big impression.
Yeah, it did.
All that stuff.
It did.
Yeah. Well, hey, man.
This is fun. I gotta go. I gotta go see my kids.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, follow us on the Twitter, the
YouTube.
The X.
The X.
Sorry again, Elon. X, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Yep.
It's just at Talking Bearded. You can find us everywhere there. And like, subscribe, comment.
Leave some comments if there's anything you want us to touch on.
Also, leave us a review.
Those reviews on podcasts and stuff really help.
Yeah, Apple and Spotify, really anywhere you get your podcasts. iHeartRadio. I saw we were on the iHeart app.
Yeah.
That email came.
I got us on the iHeart.
Sweet.
It's awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you next time.
See you next time.